Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Psyche of Sound, and this is Words from the Psyche, where I basically just talk about the walk that I walk. And yeah, today we're going to talk about influence. Are you under the influence? That's right. So music is influential, whether you think so or not. A lot of people argue it down, like somebody says, "Oh, the music's making people do it," or whatever. Because there's touchy topics when it comes to that as well. Because we can arguably say movies or whatever, but now with social media, it's crazy out there. It's crazy out there, or in there, in your phone, or wherever you watch your social media. So influence is wild. So let's just go back. I want to go back. Let's talk about like Michael Jackson. He had everyone walking around with the glove on and Thriller jackets, and because why? They liked the music, they were influenced by it, and they wanted to be like him or feel close to him or whatever they want. I don't know what you were influenced by or how you view it, but the way I see it is they wanted a piece of it. They wanted to feel attached to it. Same thing you can say about Elvis Presley, or if you want to talk about hip hop, MC Hammer for that matter. Everyone had their Hammer pants, and it was just saturated to the point where everyone wanted to have a piece of this thing. So if you say music doesn't influence you, or pop culture doesn't influence you, you're probably older and you know who you are, but the youth and the younger generation are more than likely to be influenced by, or they're still trying to find out who they are, so they want to identify that, whether it's grunge music and they want to dress a certain way because they feel attached to, this is how we're supposed to dress because we really like this kind of music, rock and roll, or punk, this goes, I like the shirt, I don't know who made it, but it's definitely Abraham Lincoln with some spikes on his head and some scribble. Thought it was dope. But so I was influenced by this artwork, or not. So I would say, just be careful what you are putting out. I would say be yourself, of course. If you're just a piece of garbage, by all means, throw the garbage out there. But if you don't want to be represented in a certain kind of way, or you don't feel that it's positive, or it's not the message that you would like to portray, I would say more than likely don't say it, or put a disclaimer. There's so many ways to package this stuff. There's so many ways to come out and like, well, he's not like that, but this is what he talks about. Or it sounds crazy because I think hip hop is one of those things where people really dig in to if that's you or not. But Michael Jackson was really a genius at the way he did it. For example, he broke it down to jackets. So Smooth Criminal, he had the white jacket on. He was a mobster. I guess mobsters wear white coats. Thriller, he had the Thriller jacket. The Way You Make Me Feel, he had the blue shirt. So he just kind of broke it into these little video themes, and you didn't feel that he was that's who he was as a person. So there's so many ways to use entertainment to get your message out. Janet Jackson with the Rhythm Nation, it was just so dope. That was an album, it was a whole theme. There's so many ways to do it. I think the weird space is when you are doing an album or a project and you want to bring that into your world. So if you want to rap about the streets, dope. No, there's stories, there's great TV. Look at 50 Cent's doing right now. He's transitioned from the music to the film and television, and it's so beautiful. And he's telling probably some, in a way that's that's relatable to the way he grew up. But I just think it's such a wonderful thing. He's not in the streets holding up guns and keeping it real, whatever you want to call it, because keeping it real is keeping yourself alive and keeping yourself out of trouble. That's not to say you got to be a punk, or that's not to say that you can't protect yourself, or if you are, God bless you, if you're in a community that you can't get out of, or in a situation financially that you can't get out of. I've been in all kinds of situations, but you have to at some point, especially when you're financially able to do that, or you have an opportunity to escape from that. I think it's beautiful. You'll find a lot of suburban kids, or a lot of people that aren't from that lifestyle, tend to want to be that. Just in my experiences, I don't know anyone else's experience, but my experience is most of the toughest people that I've ever met, pretty quiet or pretty cool, down to earth, but you realize you probably don't want to mess with them and get them a little ticked off. And I always found that to be interesting, because I was friends with all different kinds of people, and because I was being myself the whole time. I wasn't trying to be hardcore when I was with a certain group of people, and I wasn't trying to be this type of way when I was with this type of people. I was just being myself 100%, And back to the music, if you're just being yourself 100%, I think that people will genuinely see that. They'll know that you're telling a story. That's why someone like Tupac can do a Brenda had a baby and talk, do something with Digital Underground, and come back because I think he was elements of all that he was. Eminem, that's the reason why he rose above, into a high level of fame, because that's who he is or who he was, and you didn't feel that it wasn't genuine. And I don't want to say anyone's names. I don't put non-genuine people's names or whatever. But if you're selling drugs or you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling a certain thing, and it's not who you are, it'll eventually come out, because whatever you're from, people will eventually expose it. And so I think music is very, very, very influential, especially for younger, people, and it makes you feel good no matter what your age you are. But I think that you're more apt to be influenced. Influencer. What do you think that now? Social media is influencers, because this is pop culture, and you're influenced by what you see and what you hear, and on a regular basis. And if you're putting the headphones on and you're vibing out, it definitely is something that I think it definitely gets into your psyche. Psyche. It gets into your psyche, and alters your way of thinking. I used to be an athlete once upon a time. And to get myself hyped, I was in a dark place before races. I would just listen to a lot of gangster music or a lot of heavy music, and it got me to that point where I would shoot up the blocks and win my races. And now I can listen to them and just listen to them. But I was using it maybe like a boxer has to get his football players. We were in the locker room. We would hype ourselves up. And certain music is great for that. And then when you go into another environment, you want to be relaxed or whatever you want to be. So that's why people listen to, meditation music or whatever, because they want to put their mind in a different place. I tend to jog and listen to a lot of gospel or positive things, because there's a lot of things in the world right now that are crazy. So I like to cleanse my musical, my ear palates with some positive things. So anyway, that being said, are you influenced? Are you under the influence? There you go. Are you under the influence? If you are, make sure it's an influence that is going to keep you on a path that you would like to be on, and to portray the human that you want to be. So anyway, words of the psyche. Psyche sound. Signing off.